So this one's been a long time coming, and I think I finally have the right words to get the idea across. When I say a long time, I mean decades. I've been watching from the sidelines as the next great outrage has been a thing. Abby, Undertale, Andromeda, Veilguard, Battlefield, Ubisoft, Shadows. I can go on, but you get the idea. You've been on the internet at any point in time in the last 10 years. Now, I may or may not decide to put flashy B-roll over the video so that y'all can pay attention. Just put me in a different tab if you don't want to have the borderline creepy eye contact going on. Around the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, I posted a short that took me maybe 20 minutes to make. Shoot, edit, upload, SEO, all that. It was talking about the standard internet backlash and difficulty and gatekeeping, and stupidly, it is the single most video I have on the channel, at least as of this record. Now, I only actively moderate silly inflammatory comments or those made in obviously bad faith. Yes, we can tell. But holy hell, consider yourselves lucky for the YouTube automat. It seems lately that there's this idea about games and game dev that they need to produce content only for you. And that a studio's departure from that to court a wider audience so they can continue making games in that genre. See entry, all of the discourse, and I'm being generous there, about Monster Hunter Wilds being too easy is insulting and alienates the true Scotsmen who make up the core of the purchasing power and fan base. Thing is, that's not the case. Reality check here for a second. If you continue to drill down into a genre, only a percentage of the existing fans will buy and play your game. If you make a new Dark Souls, that's 1,000% more Dark Souls. Only the most core audience of Dark Souls, who enjoy getting sniped off of roofs by Silver Knight archers, will play. And you might need more than those 7 people in order for your game to be profitable. This shows up sometimes in another one of my hobbies. Warhammer 40k. Each new edition with streamlined-ish, that ish is doing a lot of work, rules, draws hate from people who clamor about stratagem complexity or dispersion charts. Yes, I'm old. I remember 2nd and 3rd edition. And how the idea that tourists aren't welcome to the hobby because it taints some imaginary bloodline or some such nonsense. Fortunately, in the Warhammer community at least, or my slice of it, that problem sorts itself out in payroll, because nobody wants to play with those twats, and it's inherently a social game unless you enjoy the single-player rules, but that kind of defeats the point. You get a rep for being a Black Templar or a Krieg stan who takes the ideas just a little bit too far and drops hints about eugenics unironically, well, you're going to have a harder time finding a game. And maybe that social reinforcement will encourage some introspection. Yeah, optimist here, I know. Maybe it's the inherently solitary nature of gaming, specifically with single-player games, that contributes to a lack of self-correction in the hobby when we talk about video games. If our ability to play a game was contingent upon our behavior being socially acceptable in the spheres of influence that we enjoy, and the people we decide to play with decide that we're too much of an asshole to enjoy playing the game with, we're not going to get to play a game. You don't see that with video games, at least not in the single-player space and the rageosphere on YouTube. I'm going to be really harsh here for a second. Newsflash, you shoe-size IQ-having twits. We live in a late-stage capitalism hellscape, and our avocations are dictated by profitability. Let me translate that for you. Game no get new players, game not make sales. Game get canned by suits who no care about game, only want line go up. No game means sad enjoyers of previous game that no longer exists. And at the same time, there's backlash when a studio really leans into an idea, perspective, or genre, and people clamor about, oh, this isn't for me, blah, 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 blah. It's equally inane. Not every game is for you. That's fine. I don't like sports games. At least not since Mutant League football and hockey were a thing in the Sega Genesis. You know what I don't do? I don't go to the EA forums and whinge about how they're making content I don't like. Why are you spending so much energy on a thing that you don't have to? That can't be satisfying or fulfilling. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like being angry. It's exhausting. Why be angry? I'm reminded of a meme from the ancient internet about how it takes 0 muscles to sit there with a dumb look on your face versus the muscles it takes to smile or frown. Go spend your energy on things that bring you joy, or at least afford you the opportunity for joy, instead of clinging to the memory of happiness from a time when you were shielded from the complexities of the world. That time wasn't actually simpler. It wasn't better. Hopefully, the adults in your life shielded you from life's complexities. That's why you have these assholes talking about going back to the good old days. There were no good old days. Outside of a few very obvious, like, socio-political things based on identity. The good old days were good because you were shielded from how ridiculously harsh life was and how nuanced it was. And it could be black and white when you were a child. Look, at the end of the day, if you don't like the content in this case being a video or a game or whatever, or the content just isn't for you, don't engage with it. Don't be that guy who hates soccer and then goes to the soccer game and complains the whole time about how bullshit soccer is and, God, why can't we just be playing lacrosse? Nobody likes that guy. And more importantly, that guy has a hole in his being that cannot be filled, no matter how much he tries to shovel the suffering of others into it to fill that gap. Don't be that guy. Y'all, please, think about why people want to get you mad. Think about how they benefit from it. And apply this here too. Sure, I get ad rev from this video if I decide to monetize it. For transparency, my current RPM is around $5 to $6 per 1,000 views. So you know my stake, insofar as it even really exists. Difference here is, I'm trying to get you to zoom out a bit. Have a more chill life. Not let opportunists stoke feelings of inadequacy about how the world has told you that you don't deserve a seat at the table because you're bad or deplorable or whatever. And yeah, that's inherently less effective than piquing strong emotions. And humans are hardwired to feel negative or unpleasant emotions more strongly than positive ones. So I know I'm pissing into the wind here, but you're better than what they want you to be and what they profit off of. Prove them wrong. I've been Bald Squid. See you next time.